The Breeders' Cup Distaff is moved back to Saturdays, for now anyway. And after many years, the fields were short. But tomorrow in the 2021 edition, 11 are signed up. And along with 9 in the Classic, those are the 2 races I'll cover on this episode of Thoroughbred Ticket coming up next.
Welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket. We're playing the exotics like trifectas, superfectas. The pick 3, 4, 5, and 6 will become that much easier. Rushing to handicap multiple races? Well, your host will save you a bundle of time. And now here he is, the self-proclaimed expert handicapper, Mr. Kenneth Moultrie.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket. And I am your host, Mr. Kenneth Anthony Moultrie, here on this Breeders' Cup Saturday. Well, I'm actually doing the show on Friday, but this will be for Breeders' Cup Saturday at Del Mar 2021. Today, I hope you all had luck. Hope you all, prospered in all your wagering and all your betting, exotics, and everything you put in to the handicapping of today's races at Del Mar. Pretty weird final race where 2 horses were scratched from the same barn. One horse was injured. They thought the other horse was injured. He was prematurely scratched, but then it found out that he was not scratched, so he was allowed to run for purse money only, like they do on the NYRA circuit. He ended up winning the race. The horse that ran second, and her name escapes me right now, but was awarded the pari-mutuel win. So a lot going on today at Del Mar. Tomorrow, weather should be the same. I mean, I know you saw that there's a lot of overcast. That's how San Diego gets. It's on the ocean. You get that marine layer. So, while it's not going to rain, it's not going to be, sunny and 85, 90 degrees. So it's even like that a lot of times during the summer at Del Mar. So, fast and firm is what we're looking at. And, that's what we're going to go with as I cover these 2 outstanding races here, the Breeders' Cup Distaff and, of course, the Breeders' Cup Classic. So without further ado, let's get right into the Grade 1 $2 million Breeders' Cup Distaff. It's going to run at 1 1/8 miles on the main track. And as I said in the opening, we have 11 signed up. Let's see if I can go through this without much pain. Let's go ahead and start with the Rail Filly Private Mission for Bob Baffert and Flavien Prat. Now, Private Mission is 4 for 5 lifetime. This 3-year-old filly by Into Mischief only stumped her toe one time, and that was in the Desi Arnaz at Del Mar right here in the Bing Crosby meet in 2020. Now, she was 1-2 that particular day. Did not run her race, but has showed up every single time and has been to the dance, guns a-blazing. So 8-1 on the morning line. I think this is a very astute morning line given by the morning line maker. You got Bob Baffert, you got Flavien Prat. The only thing here is, he's going to be stretching out. Has been around 2 turns at Santa Anita in the Zenyatta. However, this 1 1/8 is going to be the furthest she's ever gone. So there is some question there. Of course, she has the rail. She does break good in all of her races. So if she doesn't break toward the inside and get shuffled back, she should be in a pretty good position. She's been well bet every time. The highest odds she's been in her 5 starts was 2-1, and she ended up winning that optional claiming race at Santa Anita. Has some good work since. I do wish those works were at Del Mar. They're at Santa Anita, a 58-4 and a 48-4 for furlong. So, like I said, not without a shot here. I think that, like I say, she's going to get played. I think 8-1 is about what you're going to get on this filly. So, like I said, 1 to Torrey Pines here. at Del Mar just in the summer meet just a couple of months ago, and then also won the Zenyatta at Santa Anita. So it's very, very sharp. 3 for 3 this campaign with $217,000 earned. She may be a little short as far as talent is concerned. So, but only thing may she have going for her is that she does have a slight home court advantage. Now, like I said, she did not run well in the Desi Arnaz, but she was 1-2 in a 6-horse field. And by the running lines, it doesn't show anything out of the ordinary, like she got blocked or she stumbled. So she just basically just got outran and didn't run her race, but has come back and won 3 straight since then. So Private Mission is a filly to watch out for. And if you're going to use in the pick 3s, pick 4s, I would definitely recommend using this filly here. The number 2 horse here is Royal Flag for trainer Chad Brown. Joel Rosario will ride. Now, this is a 5-year-old mare by Candy Ride. And in this particular race, the Breeders' Cup Distaff and the Breeders' Cup Classic, it's a weight for age thing here. I forgot to mention that Private Mission is a 3-year-old taking on older, so she's going to be saddled with 121 pounds. The older mares in this race are going to be carrying 124. I actually think as far as the filly, the Distaff division, I think there should be more of a discrepancy between the weights. I remember when the Breeders' Cup first began, it was more like a 5 pounds. I remember the 3-year-olds carrying 119 and the older carrying at least 123, if not 124. And it fluctuated from year to year, that 1 pound either way for the older runners. But I think 3 pounds is just not enough advantage for a younger runner here. I know it's toward the end of the year, but we're still in early November, and a lot of people are going to say that if you're already in November, then she's practically another age higher anyway. In this case, Private Mission is 4. But anyway, Royal Flag, a 5-year-old mare, and one thing that sticks out when I was doing the handicapping for this race was Royal Flag is 3 for 5 with a second and a third at this 1.125 distance. Now, none of them were at Del Mar because she mainly campaigns on the East Coast. However, she's very, very sharp. She's won 3 out of the last 5. Joel Rosario has been on 2 of those. And her buyer numbers are somewhat decent. In the Beldame at Belmont in her last start, she received the 99 buyer, which is, it's right there, right behind Latruska, who we'll get to in a bit. So this is a very, this runner here is on top of her game to begin with. She has a good post position with Joel Rosario on her. She is going to make a run. She is going to let the action develop in front of her, and then she's going to make that patented Joel Rosario run with her on his back in the stretch. And at a 1.125 at 3 out of 5 lifetime at this distance, she knows her way to the wire. Very dangerous mare here. She's 8-1 on the morning line. I would suspect you're going to get a little less than that. I would say more like 5 or 6-1. And like I said, I think she's going to get the right trip, the right setup. Obviously, there's going to be some horses in front of her, but I think Royal Flag will definitely be coming home late, the fastest of just about any distaffer in this particular field. The number 3 is the 3-year-old filly Malatot by Curlin for Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez. Now, all the rave about this filly at Saratoga this summer when she basically tipped her mid in the coaching club to Maracuja and Maracua. I can't say that name, but anyway, just, I know the connections were expecting to win both of those races, that the coaching club and the Alabama. but she did come back and win the Alabama, and she's gotten a very good rest. She's going to be packing 121 pounds. The buyer numbers worry me about this filly. They're very low. It looked like she ran better in the coaching club, but then again, you're talking about 3-year-old fillies running a mile and a quarter. You know, the Alabama buyer numbers are generally not very high because you're not they're dawdling along. You have short fields in most of the editions of the Alabama, so you're not getting a fast pace to run into, and the times are just below average. But the class of that particular race bolsters the buyer figures most times, and I think looking at getting the 95 in the Alabama and the 97 in the coaching club was, just very modest. Even in the Kentucky Oaks winning, she basically received a 95 buyer. So nothing to basically, to burn the walls down about, but I think she's in over her head here. I don't know if Todd Pletcher wanted to get another race into her before this race, or just maybe come in off the Alabama with some rest and some, just off of works. But we'll see. I can say I think her figures are too low, and I just think she's going to be out maneuvered here. She's probably a play for next year in this race when she'll be a little older, and maybe she can get some, get some more stamina and more speed into her, because aside from the Tempted at Aqueduct last November, where she won off by almost 8, she just kind of dawdles around, wins by a neck, wins by a head, wins by 3/4, wins by a length and a half. So she's not really blowing away the competition based upon her odds. So, basically her class level, she's bet at 1-2 in the Alabama. She's bet at 2-5 in the coaching clubs, and she's not really putting away the opponent. So, like I said, I think this is if she sticks around for her 4-year-old campaign, I think she'll be tough in this race at Keeneland next year. The number 4 Blue Stripes is Argentinian bred. Frankie Dettori is going to ride. Frankie was on one of those horses today, the 2 horse that was scratched in the last race, and so I don't think he was injured. I think he did report to the journalist that was on track there that he was fine, so he should be riding this 4-year-old filly here. Now, she is coming from Argentina, and of the 6 races, she's won 4, and all 4 were on the main track. Now, she did have a couple of turf races which she didn't win, which is fine, because obviously this race is on the main track. So she's won at a mile and a quarter. She's won at a mile and a quarter twice on the dirt. So actually 3 times. So the distance will not be a problem for her. It's just that, is she classy enough? Does she have the speed to stick with some of these other distaffers in here? The number 5 Clairiere for Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana, winner of the Grade 1 Cotillion last time at Parks, as the favorite. Got a 93 buyer. 3 for 9 this year. It's banked over $1 million. So this 3-year-old Curlin filly has a lot of class. Has some good back class, as a matter of fact. Raced in the Kentucky Oaks and only missed by 3 lengths to Malatat. So, and was really the second choice basically during the summer at Saratoga in the coaching club. Was supposed to be right along there with Malatat, but then did not run her race in the coaching club, and then was sent off at kind of generous odds in the Alabama, and then came back to run second, and then won the Cotillion. So here is something that you can maybe something that she can build on from that particular race. She does have a Delmar work since that race. She worked on Halloween Day, 49-1 for 4 furlongs, which was 17 best out of 29 horses who worked that distance on that particular day. That's the 5 Clary Air. The number 6 is obviously going to be your post-time favorite, and that's Latruska. I mean, 17 for 22 lifetime. She's 6 for 7 this year with 1 second. Her buyer numbers, her buyer speed figures jump off the page. In her last 5, they have been north of 100, and even in the grade 2 Azuri at Oaklawn, she received a 99, just missing by a hedge to She Dares the Devil, who's in this race herself. So she's going to be on the lead if she doesn't stumble. She is going to be hard to catch. She has a Delmar work on October 30th of 5 furlongs in 1 minute and 1, just to get an official feel of the track. So Fausto Gutierrez has done a great job with this mare by Super Saver. I read Ortiz, very familiar. It's going to be his 6th time in a row riding her. So, like I said, the horse gets the lead out the gate. She's going to take some catching. And the only thing that anti-Latruska fans can hope for is that some other mare or filly in this race pushes her so they can get some gear horse to run home late and try to pick up the pieces. But as I see it right now, if she just, like I said, if she gets out the gate, she's going to be very, very tough to beat. And I think that 8-5 is very generous on the mutual side. I think that I was predicting that she would be at least morning line somewhere around 6-5, even with 11 runners in the race, just based upon her numbers and just based upon how professionally and how hot she's been. With a good post here, she's 4 for 5 at the distance. So just like just like Royal Flag, she knows how to get to the wire, obviously, at 1 mile and 1/8. So like I said, I think she's going to be very, very tough to beat. Play against at your own risk. I'm going to skip the 7 Horologists. I don't really have a lot to say here, other than it's Mott and Junior Alvarado. This 5-year-old mare here, though, is she's totally outclassed. She's been well bet in all of her races, but that's due to the fact that she's been running against lesser competition. She has a Delmar work of 49-3. So, she may be a runner. I'm looking at her fractions because she does run near the lead, at least in her last 3 or 4 starts. So I'm looking at a 113 for 6 furlongs. She does have a 111, 2 111s at Saratoga for 6 furlongs, where I'm looking at Latruska and the Personal Ensign at 110 and 111. And I know Irad is not going to let this horse on the outside of him get the lead over him. So, but maybe, like I say, Horologist can push Latruska, and, we might be expecting a different outcome at the end. Number 8 is She Dares the Devil for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. Now, She Dares the Devil won the Clement Hirsch here at Del Mar on August the 1st here. Got a 95 buyer, beat 4 horses home. Very short field, won by over 3 lengths. And, so she's gotten a field of the track. And, she's 4 for 5 this year in 2021 with 1/3. So she's very sharp. She's done some good work at Oaklawn. She's done some good work at Churchill, and so she's been all over. So, the fact that she's been here and won, it just, it bodes well. She's 4-1 on the morning line. I think with all the success that She Dares the Devil has had in 2021, I think that 4-1 is going to drift up at post time. I think you should expect around 7-1 from this daughter of Daredevil, and that may be just what you need. If you are one of the type of investors who believe that if a horse is cold on the board, there must be a reason, or if a horse is cold on the board, that's more of a reason for you to head to the window, or maybe, obviously you cannot tell if you're doing exotics. I'm talking about horizontal exotics. You can't tell what the odds are going to be if you already bet a pick 4 or a pick 5. But nevertheless, if you it's just coming up to the race cold turkey, I think you're going to see an overlay on She Dares the Devil, because I think that Royal Flag and Private Mission is going to receive some of those votes that She Dares the Devil figured to get by the morning line maker. So I'm gonna pass on She Dares the Devil. I think that she's her form looks good, but it's just that her style competing with Latruska, and I'm not actually saying that Latruska is a lock here, but just the style that she has is going to compromise a horse like She Dares the Devil. If she tries to run with Latruska, it's going to hurt She Dares the Devil, because She Dares the Devil is not a filly who is prone to sit and then just blow the doors off you coming home, where the jockey can throw the whip away into the infield. She's not that type of runner. She's a stick or stay on runner, and she's going to have to stick with Latruska, and I don't think she can. And I think the handicappers are going to read the racing form like I'm doing now, and they're going to read the racing form tomorrow, and they're going to see that, and they're going to look for a horse or two that can come off the pace, and that's going to be the 2 Royal Flag. And that's why I think Royal Flag is going to chew up some of that 4-1 morning line money that She Dares the Devil is projected to have. So, like I said, I'm going to pass on She Dares the Devil tomorrow. The number 9 horse is As Time Goes By Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh. She's a 4-year-old filly. Louis Saez will ride, and this is another one for trainer Bob Baffert. Now, has 2 runs at Del Mar, did get a third in that same Clement Hirsch. Now, here's the interesting thing about As Time Goes By. She Dares the Devil was the winner of that race, and She Dares the Devil was the favorite at 6-5 or 7-5. Well, As Time Goes By was bet at to 3-2 in that race. So they were both basically, they were basically almost can't lose propositions, right? Ice cold exactas either way, because As Time Goes By was coming off basically 2 back from that race in the Santa Margarita at Santa Anita, where she aired by 9 with Mike Smith and received the 97 buyer, and the same buyer in the Santa Maria, where she had just won by a nose the next race out. So going into the Clement L. Hirsch, she was on par as far as wagering, as far as the public thought, with She Dares the Devil. Now, She Dares the Devil owned up to her billing, and As Time Goes By did not. Now, since then, As Time Goes By was up the track in the Personal Ensign to Latruska, and basically she kind of, she was bet at 7-5 in her last race in the Zenyatta, but was really never close. I did not think she was threatening the winner in that particular race. So I think, she's going to be a long shot, somewhere around 20-25 to 1 tomorrow. So this is obviously going to be a pass for me, based upon, I just don't think her numbers of late are up to par with the top runners in this particular race. The number 10 is Marche Laurent. She's a Japan bred, and she is coming into this race off some very, very marathon runs in Japan. So the last race, this mare won at a 1.25 miles. So obviously she can get the distance. Once again, this is almost just kind of like, I think that, the connections are just looking for a piece. looking for some racing luck. Maybe they can get in for third. Second, I think they would be jumping for joy. Uh, you know, um, you know, a lot of races this mare run back in Japan were on muddy tracks and sloppy tracks where in the straight slop she aired by 3. So we're not going to get that kind of track tomorrow at Del Mar. So like I say, I just think this 5-year-old mare is just in here for a piece of the pie if she gets very, very lucky. Now, rounding out the field is the 11 Dunbar Road for trainer Chad Brown and Jose Ortiz. Now, this will be Chad Brown's second runner in the race. Now, if you all remember Dunbar Road from last year in 2020, she was basically one of the top distaffers in this particular country. She ran in this race last year. I really thought that she was going to be a factor. And then I think the race that kind of threw her off kilt was the Belle Dame at Belmont, because before then she had won the Delaware Handicap and she won the Shawnee at Churchill. Got some pretty good numbers. And I mean, I watched those races and I remember Jose Ortiz just, sitting on top of this mare with the hammer lock. It was actually a filly last year, but sitting on top of this filly with the hammer lock. And then all of a sudden, after the Belle Dame, something went wrong, and she has not been the same since. She has a tough post, the 11 outside. I'm looking at the 10 Marche Lorraine to see if she has speed, to see if Dunbar Road is going to have to go around Marche Lorraine, or will Jose Ortiz be able to wrangle Dunbar Road back and make one big run. Now, apparently she's filled out more, obviously, since she's been from a 4-year-old campaign. So if you like her progression, she has run better since the Belle Dame in the personal ensign. And through all of that, as far as the buyer speed figures are concerned, the personal ensign that she ran in Saratoga at well, I'm gonna say boxcar odds, but at odds of 25-1, she only missed by 3/4 of a length, and she received 100 buyer, and that was her largest or highest buyer, I think, to date of any race. So she is progressing. The post is not good. However, if she comes back to her best, then she can be a factor in this particular race tomorrow. So I think I've covered every runner in the Breeders' Cup Distaff for tomorrow. I think in closing for this particular leg, this particular race, I think the runner I like the best here is going to be Royal Flag, or let's just go in post position order. Private Mission, Royal Flag, and Latruska. I like Royal Flag, and so that's probably going to be a trifecta box for me, and those are going to be the 3 I use in the pick 3 in this particular leg, this particular sequence. Obviously, I'm going to probably be rooting for Private Mission because I believe Private Mission will be, her odds will be higher than Royal Flag, and of course, certainly Latruska. So, but just in handicapping, I like Royal Flag better. I think the style fits her and the race, the way I see the race is going to fold out. So Private Mission, Royal Flag, and Latruska for me in the Grade 1 $2 million Breeders' Cup Distaff tomorrow at Del Mar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the highlight of the weekend, the highlight probably of the year, the $6 million Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic, run at 1.25 miles on the main track. 9 really good runners here, and let's see what I came up with here. A lot of people have been talking about, certain styles at Del Mar. Do you play the hot horse like Knicks Go? Do you play styles? Do you play horses that have shown an affinity for this particular racing surface? The number 1 is Triple Lee. Now, Triple Lee is a 4-year-old colt by Kitten's Joy, and obviously when you think of Kitten's Joy, you think of grass. But Triple Lee did win the Grade 1 Pacific Classic, which is probably the race you would want to win most if the Breeders' Cup is at Del Mar like it is. So you won the biggest race. It's at the same distance, and you won the race. And you really wasn't a huge long shot. You figured a little bit. The race before that in the Grade 2 San Diego, you were right there. So I think, it bodes well for you. The only thing about Triple E that I look back on and I see 4 for 15 lifetime, and I see a lot of grass races on his resume. Now, the grass races early turning into dirt races, and even though he won the Pacific Classic, a lot of the older handicap racing in Southern California has been watered down over the years. The races aren't like what they used to be. So, the two races before the Pacific Classic, he won an optional claimer $62,000 race, which would hardly never happen back in the good old days. So, but we're not in the good old days, and Triple E does have a win on the track, and has the rail. Irad's going to take over for Tiago Pereira. So that's a positive. John Sadler's the trainer. Sadler's had a really good year, 20% on the year. So what do you think, folks? Do you think that, he'll come back to the Pacific Classic and San Diego run? Because that race at Santa Anita and Awesome Again, the Grade 1 Awesome Again, I think, now I'm not trying to think for Sadler or think that I heard anything, but if you win a Pacific Classic, which is a grueling race, on August 21st, and you got the Breeders' Cup right at the same track in, 6 weeks? Let me see, August, September, it's 8 weeks, so maybe 11 weeks. It seemed like I would have stayed home and maybe got some Del Mar Works and just came in there on my laurels instead of going up to Santa Anita and in the Awesome Again and just running around the track. Now, maybe John Sadler was thinking, oh, that's the workout that you were talking about, Kenneth. So maybe that's how I use this coat for my workout. But I would have came out into this particular race off the Pacific Classic just on Del Mar Works. Now, he's working up at Santa Anita. The races are not at Santa Anita. The Breeders' Cup is at Del Mar. To me, stay home, get some, put those 4 works that you got or 5 works that you got, put them on Del Mar with the rest without that Awesome Again, and I think things would be different. So we'll see tomorrow, not without a shot. Irad Ortiz, gives, moves any horse up. It's the Pacific Classic, so, like I said, probably going to use, in my pick 3s or pick 4s. So, I like horses that have performed on the track, but I still would have liked to see a different approach here by trainer John Sadler. Now, the number 2 horse, Express Train, is very, very interesting because during the summer, ladies and gentlemen, I was on the, Express Train because I endorsed this colt in the San Diego, which he won, beating Triple E. And I was thinking that this is the horse that's going to win the Pacific Classic because he's shown a very tough liking, a very good liking for Del Mar. As you can see, he's 3 for 5 there with 1 second. So into the San Diego, I was like, wow, it looked like it took a lot out of him. I seen because he had came back. The racing line shown that, he was second and he did get passed in that race and came back on. So it was a tough race. Now going into the Pacific Classic, he was the favorite. So he was the beaten favorite in the Pacific Classic because going into that particular race, that buyer number of 101 that he got in the San Diego was probably bigger than any horse in the Pacific Classic. But I think the San Diego that took a lot out of him. So he did not perform in the Pacific Classic. And he also went into that useless Awesome Again race at Santa Anita where he just ran around the track too. So I would have liked to see, I tell you this right now, I'm not going to be on the Express Train bandwagon this race, but like Triple E, if he would have come into this race off the beat as the beaten favorite in the Pacific Classic and not raced since August 21st, I would be on this horse's bandwagon. But the way this is handled, I am not. The number 3 is Hot Rod Charlie. Now, Hot Rod Charlie is going to be my top choice in this race. This Oxbow quote, 3-year-olds over the years in the Pacific Classic have done really well. I remember the very first 3-year-old that I got or that I had in the Breeders' Cup Classic was a 3-year-old called Proud Truth with George Velasquez riding him. And I think that was at Aqueduct in '85. And I because I was ready, I was looking to think like, can 3-year-olds run with older horses in the Pacific Classic? Yeah, I know they're getting the weight break, but yeah, they are, and they can. So over the years, I've been kind of liking 3-year-olds in the Classic. They do get a little weight break. And like I said, I'll get to some other runners later and show you some differences in certain 3-year-old races that they run into. But this colt here, the buyer numbers are going in the right direction ever since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. 94 to 99 to 100 to 108, then a 102 in the Haskell when he was disqualified. You all saw that race, I'm sure. And then the Pennsylvania Derby was a pip. Now, there was 8 runners in this race, and with Flavien Prat, this colt just drew off, and that 111 buyer and that 148.3, that to me, and getting blinkers tomorrow, I think this is the horse that's going to be in the winner's circle for the Breeders' Cup Classic tomorrow, the 3 Hot Rod Charlie. Obviously, Flavien's going to have to maneuver around some other horses outside of him, but that's a conversation for later on here. But like I said, I do like Hot Rod Charlie. Doug O'Neill, very cagey. Did get a 7-furlong Del Mar work into this colt, which I like to see. Was a 126-4. So obviously, all systems are go with the Pennsylvania Derby winner and the runner-up in the Belmont Stakes and the third-place finisher in the Kentucky Derby of this year. The 3 Hot Rod Charlie, my top choice. Now, let's take a look at essential quality. Now, I'm just going to tell you straight off the bat, I mentioned earlier about how I love 3-year-olds. And, for those of you who don't know, Saratoga is my favorite meet. The Travers is my favorite race. Upstate New York and Saratoga Springs is my favorite place. So I always try to find a way to get Travers winners into the winner's circle in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I have not been able to do it except for Arrogant. Now, obviously he was favored, but, we had some really good, ever since 10 Most Wanted in 2003 and Bernardini, I endorsed Bernardini in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He ended up running second in that race, I think second or third. It was other horses, even West Coast, and just thinking of stuff thinking on the top of my head. The one that really disappointed me was a Travers winner recently was Catholic Boy. Didn't understand that race at all. Did everything right. Won the Travers. Was freshened. Got works on the track. I think it was at Churchill. Everything I like, and just act like he didn't even know what he was doing that day. So Travers winners are very, very, they've not had good records in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But, and so that takes me to essential quality, and I'm looking at the numbers. Now that 107 in the Classic or in the Travers was really, really good. But with other runners in this particular race, ladies and gentlemen, like Knicks Go, like Hot Rod Charlie, they're really aggressive horses. Art Collector, Medina Spirit. And essential quality it seems like a really kind of a lazy horse. He needs waking up. He needs, something, and even from that race in the Jim Dandy, when he should have not won that race. He just kind of like toyed around and just basically won that race on ability and class. And then the Travers, against Midnight Bourbon, I thought that's another race that, he shouldn't have won. Now, he cannot do that tomorrow. He cannot dawdle around tomorrow and do that. Now, the morning line price maker made him 3-1. I think that's very very generous if you're looking from the eyeglasses, the pair of eyeglasses that's saying that you think Essential Quality is the second best horse in this race. Or do you think that of his popularity from running in the Triple Crown events and winning the Travers, that the odds may, or the public will make him somewhere around 3-1. This is going to hurt me to my heart, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to hurt me like it's never hurt me before when I'm handicapping races. Because like I said, I will always find an excuse to try to endorse a Travers runner, a Travers winner in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But tomorrow, for the first time in life's history, I am going to throw out Essential Quality. I just don't think he's vibrant enough. I don't think he's spunky enough. And if he's trying to wake up when horses are running with him or near him, he's not going to have, those grade 3 horses or non-graded horses run against him. And I don't think Essential Quality, to be honest with you, I don't think he's going to be nowhere around tomorrow, which with my heart, I hope he wins, but I'm not going to use him. I'm not going to use him in my pick 3s or whatever that's here, pick 4s. He is a El Paso, Texas for me tomorrow. Now, the number 5, Knicks Go, obviously, is probably going to be your favorite. I still think that either Medina Spirit or Hot Rod Charlie might do something there. It's going to be a stretch. Knicks Go is such a popular horse, literally. And Knicks Go, the way he runs, he just blows the competition away. But there was some talk on the track today that John Velasquez said that at all costs that he's sending Medina Spirit to the front. And Joe Rosario responded by saying, well, we'll see. Now, I don't know if that's a bluff or some type of competition, some type of gamemanship. But if those two go, obviously that's going to bode well for horses coming from behind. Like a horse that's going to sit like the horse I like, Hot Rod Charlie. But like I said, Knicks Go, he is not a lazy horse. He is vibrant. He's spunky. He gets out the gate and he says, come and catch me. Now, that last race at Churchill, the Lucas Classic, the grade 3, the buyer went from 113 to 111, and to that race was 104. Now, was Joel trying to save something for the Breeders' Cup Classic? Has he run his best races? Because all those 108s and 107s, in 2020 and early this year, what does that mean? If Medina Spirit is going to be on the lead or near the lead and makes Knicks Go run, once again, as good and as classy as Knicks Go is, if he's, going to be tangling with Medina Spirit, it's going to help other runners. It's not like he's going to be, like I say, in a non-graded race where the runners that's behind, that's looking at him, are not going to be able to pick up the pieces. Where you're looking at like horses like Hot Rod Charlie or Art Collector, they'll be able to pick up the pieces. So we'll see. I guess it just depends to see if anyone can go with Knicks Go, but I don't think it'll be anybody like Essential Quality, but Medina Spirit seems to be the one that's going to do it. So I'm probably not going to use Knicks Go. I'm probably going to, I'd rather use Hot Rod Charlie and Art Collector just based on the running style. And I think that Knicks Go will probably be compromised tomorrow. That's just my thought. Now let's look at the 6 Art Collector for trainer Bill Mott and Mike Smith. I'm kind of surprised that Junior Alvarado is not on this horse because Luis Saez obviously won on this colt, this Bernardini colt, the last 3 times, and goes to Essential Quality. I think that's a contractual thing. I think that, you know, riding Essential Quality, you know, is basically, you know, that it may not be right for this particular race, but the Saez choice to ride Essential Quality is probably good for business down the line. And, you know, depending upon Essential Quality, I can't remember if this is going to be his last race or not. I think it is, but I think, you know, just a decision because of contractual obligations. I think that that's why Luis Saez chose Essential Quality. Although I think that Art Collector is the better horse for tomorrow. You know, and I think that, you know, Bill Mott put a 48-2 work in him at Del Mar. Never been on the track in a race, but, you know, has some Breeders' Cup dirt experience and was very, very hot, as you know, in the summer of 2020. And so, you know, after, you know, stubbing his toe in a couple of high-priced stake races and, you know, even in the Preakness to Swiss Skydiver, just now won 3 in a row. So I think our collector is going to be very, very tough tomorrow in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's move over to Medina Spirit here. Now, Johnny V was talking about getting the lead over Knicks Go at all costs. I don't know if Medina Spirit is that type. I don't know if he's that bulldog type to be ahead of Knicks Go, meaning that he could probably physically do it, but at what cost? Is it going to take a lot out of him? Is he going to be the same horse when Art Collector and Hot Rod Charlie and Express Train or Triple Lee or, you know, whoever it is starts to come after him? So, you know, that race in the Awesome again, I guess, you know, it did Medina Spirit good. He got a 107 buyer. So, you know, Baffert likes him, and you know he's gonna be a factor. But I do think that Knicks Go and him and he are going to cancel each other out, and I just can't see this little war between John Velasquez and Joel Rosario. This little who's going to get the lead, and I'm going to be ahead of you type thing. I don't know how that's going to play out. You know, the race is 1.25 miles, not 7 furlongs. So. And, you know, that deep, funny egg-shaped oval that's known as Del Mar, you know, it can start to play different from day to day. Now, you looked at today, and there was a lot of horses on the front end, on the dirt, or so much, you know, close to the lead. And you can wake up tomorrow, and the tide is out, and it can flip, you know, quicker than I don't know what. And so, you know, like I said, they can go out there and have their own little competition, and they can be looking around for Art Collector or Hot Rod Charlie, and it'll be a different story. So I'm not going to use Medina Spirit either. I'm going to use the 2 horses I said, actually, Hot Rod Charlie and Art Collector, and I'm going to throw Knicks Go and Medina Spirit out just based on the pace factor. Doesn't mean that they're not better horses, or it's who's going to be the best horse tomorrow in that same race scenario on that particular you know, scene. So that's how it looks at it, you know. And I think that Knicks Go and Medina Spirit are going to cancel each other out. So rounding out the field is Max Player. Max Player, obviously, you know, winner of the Jockey Club Gold Cup and the Suburban. Santana and Asmussen. Now, Ricardo Santana is on some kind of a Steve Cawthon streak. I remember one time Steve Cawthon was in a slump after he even won the Triple Crown. He went like 0 for 75, and I mean it was just horrible. And I hear that Ricardo is somewhere in the 90s. You know, after having that tremendous meet at Saratoga when he won all those greatest stakes races, he gets to Keeneland and can't get a sniff of the winner's circle. And then he gets taken off of Echo Zulu because Steve Asmussen said that Ricardo Santana knows the track better. And I'm like, okay, that's just sound okay. So I don't know what's happening there. Santana is on a couple for Asmussen, on Saturday. So, and this one here, Max Player, a little, I'm not gonna say outclassed, but a little out. The post is bad to begin with, and he's not going to outbreak Medina Spirit. That means he's going to have to tuck in front of Stiletto Boy, who I failed to mention, but that was on purpose. And he's going to have to settle somewhere into, side by side with Art Collector, because that's going to be the second flight of runners. So if Ricardo can get a good spot, this may be a race. This may be the race that can break the slump. And wouldn't it be sweet for Ricardo Santana Jr. to break the slump on the Asmussen horse in the Breeders' Cup Classic? It could happen. The numbers don't look appealing, but the style can bring this colt home. I remember his sire Honor Code in the Breeders' Cup Classic I think he ran in that race with American Pharaoh. Now, American Pharaoh ran off, but I really thought Honor Code, after winning those, I think he had won the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Belmont or something like that. And I just loved Honor Code in that particular race, and he didn't run at all. Now, that really has nothing to do with Max Player, because Max Player has won 2 races at a mile and a quarter and does have a 50 flat 4 furlong work at Del Mar on November the 1st. So not without a chance, 8-1 on the morning line. I think if Ricardo gets him in a good position and the pace in front of him falls apart, he does have a chance. So that would be it for the Breeders' Cup Classic, and as a whole, the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I'm going to try to put together a late and early pick 5 tomorrow, but that's my thoughts on it. Once again, I like Hot Rod Charlie as my top choice in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, my top choice is the number 2 Royal Flag. So good luck, everybody. Thank you for listening to Thoroughbred Ticket. Catch me tomorrow for my Pick 5 early and late Pick 5 show. Take care. Good luck at the races.
This has been the exotic wager portion of Thoroughbred Ticket with your host, Kenneth Moultrie. Please tune in again next time, and especially share if this show gave you a pick 4, 5, or 6 that catapulted you to having a great day at the track.